All right, we're back here with a 292 recap show. Bob and Dan, two fantasy idiots. We're two brothers, make stupid picks. We don't know what we're doing.
I
Dan,
think as we made our picks last week, we have proven the name of the show, Two Fantasy Idiots. Although I did better than you, I think when we go back in
uh,
time here.
you know what, dude? Just run the intro. All right, we're back. Dan, starting with the bottom of the card here. We're over on Tapology. Silva versus Moroz. I was wrong. I was very
This
much
this
wrong.
this will be a theme of the night for our conversation. Bob being wrong and adamantly on it. Like, no, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. Look, the more research you do, the wronger you are, buddy.
The wronger you are.
You know what I said. You understood it.
I'm not
I thought
sure
that was good. I
wronger is a
thought
word, but listen.
listen, if you're picking DraftKings and you didn't have Silva in that first fight, you're in big trouble for the rest
Well,
of the card. She fantastic.
she did get good points. The 1 second left tap hurt. I don't know how if it would have went if she kept going, but she won. That's it. I was wrong on that one. Um, yeah, and that one hurt. Go moving up the card. We both took Silva. Um,
Yep.
Silva looked good. I don't know what else to say. She looked good.
I mean, I feel like good is not good enough to say what she did. She looked great.
Okay. Up the card, Petrosky versus Mearshart. Petrosky looked awful, I thought.
I thought so too. I was very terrified he was going to lose that fight, and of course, I started looking at it on my 7 DraftKings teams. I had him all on every single one
Mm-hmm.
because you were adamant about him, like he's going to be so good. And frankly, at the end, it became a war, and you could have given that fight at the end either way. You really could have, if they would have taken into account how strong Mearshart finished.
It was close. It was definitely close.
I mean, Mearshart
The
in a
first
loss got 42
Yeah, the
points.
first round was close. I didn't know who won it. The second round, I think it was Petrosky won that round. There was like no
He
question.
did, yeah, he did.
And then the third was it went back and forth a little bit. I question who was going to win that, but I had Petrosky on a lot of my teams, so I'm happy he did. But him calling out Bo
He
Nickel is probably done because
Bo Nickel would destroy
I
him.
know, but everybody's like, oh, maybe Petrosky can grapple a little. No shot. Bo Nickel would
You know what?
destroy him.
Bo keeps talking about like the different levels you go to, and you see Bo is at such a higher level than Petrosky. He's
Well,
not a national champion level wrestler.
as this is the theme to our show. We somehow will talk about Bo Nickel in every episode because we're huge wrestling fans.
I think it's the only way to go.
But
Let's go on to the next one.
okay, we had Katona Gibson. I had one right. You had one wrong. You took Gibson, and Gibson looked awesome in the first round and
Yeah,
a half. He
and
looked
hey, by the way,
awesome.
did you see
What?
he's getting a contract too? Did you see that?
I didn't, but he deserves it. That
Yeah,
was
absolutely.
that fight was great. It was the best fight I've seen since like Gaethje Chandler or one of those like back and forth brawling matches. I loved it. It was
It was.
great.
I totally agree. I thought it was fantastic. I will say this though, I had Katona on like all my teams, even though I took him here with Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
But when I took one look at Gibson, I was like, we're in trouble. I mean, he just looked tall and tough and bruising, and he did all those things. You absolutely could have given that fight to Gibson. I think that went.
I
I
don't think you
really
could
think
have.
that.
If he would have finished the second round strong, you could have. But he faded in the second. Katona took over. The judges see him winning at the end of the second. That sticks in their mind. And then Katona in the third hurt him, and that clinched it for him. But it was a great fight. Both guys deserve a contract. And anyways, I had that one right. You had that one wrong. Moving up, you had this one right. Halabaugh versus Hubbard. I was shocked to see Hubbard so bad.
And everybody I read about or saw was shocked also. I don't think anybody thought that Halbach would win, aside from me, of course.
Yeah,
And frankly, just had a really dominating performance, took over.
yeah, it was good. I didn't do much. I didn't watch Tough. I watched a few episodes of Tough in the beginning, but it didn't hold my. It didn't pique my interest, so I didn't really follow it.
Same thing.
And then I didn't watch too much tape on those two fights there. But we went 1 for 1, so whatever. Up to RoboCop, complete destruction.
Also, why is this man punching with anybody? Why is he standing? I know, like they were saying how he falls in love with knocking people out. The dude is a monster on top. This guy, I'm not sure that anyone could compete with him if he does that every single time.
Well,
To take that level of striking power and add in that type of grappling, oh my gosh,
what you
he's a
think?
monster.
Who you taking between him and Bo Nickel?
I think that's a great fight. I absolutely do.
I'll
I
tell
think Bo would beat him on the ground,
I'll
but
tell you one thing: that UFC's not going to do that fight. Um,
well, not for a long time.
but he looked great. It looked like maybe it was a shot to the back of the head, but it was a foregone conclusion.
Not maybe. It was a forearm elbow right to the skull.
Right. Well, it happened, but I'm glad they didn't overturn that because he was done for anyways. Then we move up. We have Brad Tavares versus Chris Weidman.
Oh, please stop giving us these fights. Please, I understand we got to honor the legends, but the whole time I was thinking, if this man's leg breaks, I'm going to cry.
Everybody
And
was cringing.
Tavares continuously attacked it, just did not stop.
Yeah, it was vicious.
We knew what was going to happen in this fight.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Dana White I think pleaded with Chris Weidman to retire after this fight.
Yeah, can you imagine being Weidman? Your leg is injured, you tore like your MCL or ACL or whatever, and the boss is like, "Yeah, you should probably just retire."
You gotta hang it up, man. Yeah, that's pretty tough. But good win by Brad Tavares, but I didn't think
But he's not going anywhere.
He didn't
He's
look
not
great.
doing anything.
He didn't look great. He looked okay.
No.
Chris Weidman looked bad. I do think Chris Weidman should retire after that performance.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
absolutely.
on to the. Oh, you have something else to say?
No, I said absolutely because I actually felt like he actually seemed even uncomfortable from the beginning in there. He's not himself. He's 39. He's getting to a point where he's a legend. He's an absolute legend, but you don't want to, you don't want to stay too long and destroy your legacy.
Yeah, I agree, but we'll see what he does. He might try to get one more against an up and comer or something. But he's old. He's 39, 40 years old. It's not worth it.
I mean, I'm 39. I'm 39. So
yeah, but you look it. He looks like a spring chicken.
You're right. Yeah.
All right, so moving up the card, Marlon Vera versus Pedro Munez.
Okay.
You had this one right. I had this one wrong.
Yeah, I understand, but I recall watching Marlon Chito Vera destroy Rob Font, and his last two fights have been so freaking boring. I mean, even this one, it was like, what is this man doing? There's no, he has no, he has a great jab. He holds people off. He basically just, I heard Cormier talk a little bit about another fighter who's just really good at scoring points, like in, like just knock, like around the sides and stuff. And that's kind of what he was doing. But like, what happened to him? There was a time he was super exciting when he kicked people in the face, and it wasn't that long ago.
Can I tell you something? I don't think he's as good as you think he is.
I agree.
He's like there's top tier and like middle tier, and he's definitely somewhere in here, but he's not the best of the best in this division. There's no chance. Like I personally, I was like told I was crazy. I thought Munoz might have won the first 2 rounds of that fight.
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. But like, here's why I say that Vera wasn't actually like doing anything, right? I mean, yeah, he was landing, he had damage, but Munoz is the one who was active, and that should count for something.
He was aggressive. He was. They were both landing a little bit, but it was like pop shots from Vera, and like Munoz was going for it. But I agree. I thought he won the first 2 rounds. I thought Munoz won that fight, but Vera won it, which was good for me because I had a team that had him. But even though I didn't win any money, did you do anything in DraftKings?
Yeah, I did absolutely.
What'd you? No, I'm saying,
What do you mean?
Did you win any money?
Yeah, I won 288.
Are we going to talk about how much you entered?
We never talk about what you entered.
Okay.
No, I won it, but I was excited about it because, we'll get to it, but I don't think anybody could have anticipated what Wei Lee did, which destroyed everyone's DraftKings.
Yeah, you had to have her. So up the card, Bautista Blackshear.
Dude, Blackshear won that fight. They stole that fight from him. That man was dominant. That man, coming off of 7+ days or 9 days or whatever, nobody could do what he did. And they stole that fight from him.
See, I was in a Discord chat. I said I had it 29-28 Blackshear, and this guy was telling me I was crazy. He told me I was in the minority for even picking that. And
Where's
I
this
said,
guy live? Let's go find him.
no thanks. But I thought Blackshear won the. I thought Blackshear easily won the first 2 rounds. I didn't think anything was
Yes,
close,
absolutely.
and
He was dominant.
I was rooting for Bautista. I had him on my team, and I was like, he lost the first 2 rounds. There's no way. And I like to give my fighter a little edge, like, well, maybe he won that one. Maybe there's no way. He lost the first 2 rounds. He did win the 3rd round, but I think there was a 30-27 for Bautista. How?
No, that cannot be.
How? I
These
think
guys have no idea what they're doing.
you know what? There needs to be 5 judges because there's always at least one idiot. You know what I mean? One guy gets it right. Most of the time, one guy gets it right. One guy gets it like really wrong, and then you've got a 3rd guy who maybe had a bad angle or something. 5.
There's another thing though.
What?
I agree with you. There should be more, but I also think that with these judges, they need access to the statistics. I do not understand why they don't get access to it. It paints a picture for the fight, and it allows you to make a decision that isn't just based on damage or based on how you saw this one thing. Like, it eliminates your opinion from it if you can see the statistics.
Well, it should be your opinion though a little bit.
But at least you should be able to see the stats.
But if you're just looking at numbers, then you could just have robots judge the fight.
I'm fine with that also. They'd get it right a lot better.
Absolutely not. No, thank you.
All right, move on to Gary because I want to talk all about him.
Gary Magny. By the way, I had Bautista. You had Blackshear in that one. You had 2 wrong on the card. I had 4.
I mean, frankly, that's bull because Blackshear won. Keep going.
Okay, well, we could say the same thing for Muniz Vera too. But you had 4. You had 2 wrong. Yeah, you had 2 wrong on this card. I had 4 wrong. Moving up, we had Gary versus Magny. And
all right, listen.
Oh, you got it? Go for it.
I have things to say about this.
Mm-hmm.
All week, Gary had so much to say. He would not shut up. I still don't fully grasp what he was so mad about Magny saying. I went and looked it up, and I was like, I get it. He made it just was nothing.
What did he say? I wasn't following.
It was something. You know what? It was. I don't even remember. It was so insignificant. It was something about. It was something about kids, like hitting kids, or I can't. But I don't think he meant it the way he took. It doesn't matter. What matters is simply this: if you talk like that and you think that you are the next Conor McGregor, you got to knock this guy out. And I know that there were people out there. You and I were talking about this. That he was like being careful and didn't want to run into. He dominated that fight, but it made him look bad because he didn't finish it. It was almost like the whole time he was progressing towards something, but every time Magny would go down after he kicked him, he wouldn't attack. We're not talking about somebody. I mean, Ian Gary just talked for a full month about how he went to Brazil and learned jiu-jitsu, right? The Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's not going to go on the ground with a guy who's literally incapable of getting back up. Like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
It's not dumb. It's not dumb to not go to the ground with him because the man can't stand. Like, the only chance he has of winning is catching you on something on the ground.
Then knock him out.
I agree. You know, he's saying, like, oh, I was picking him apart. You know what I think? I think he couldn't finish him.
I agree.
I think he was just talking afterwards saying, like, oh, I was just picking him apart. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I don't think he could finish him. He went for it a few times. He couldn't get him out of there. That's all I have to say about it.
I could be wrong on this, but I saw Dana White talk about it in the press conference when I was watching yesterday. I think there's something to be taken from what he said. He made a comment about how he thinks that if Ian Gary goes back and rewatches that fight, he will learn a few things. And I think he's talking about that. You have got to finish on that stage where you want to be this superstar, and you could have finished, and you just painted him up for the whole time.
Yeah, I agree.
I was honestly unimpressed with him. Like, he fought great, but I was unimpressed with him not finishing.
I was impressed.
It felt like he was just toying with him.
I was impressed with his striking. It was good. He looked very good against Magny. I was impressed with him. He needs to finish Magny there. He had him on the ropes. He should have just been kicking that leg. He shouldn't even been throwing a punch. Just kick that leg. All right, moving up. Weili Zhang versus Lemos. Weili, she looked great.
Dude, who's going to beat Weili?
Rose Namajunas.
I mean, no. She moved up, didn't she?
Yeah, she's at 125 now.
Listen, okay, I mean, I knew Weili was great, but this was beyond great. And it was just unbelievable domination. She ended up getting, 180 some odd points. They're almost 190 points. 190.81 points on DraftKings. I mean, utter domination. It's almost like that fight should have been stopped 10 times and it didn't happen. I've never seen that many points. Destroyed everybody's DraftKings card. I really got to fix this monitor. It's falling down every time. But unbelievable fight. And like Lemos is a great fighter. I mean, fantastic power. I heard Dana White say she hits like a man, but she only hit her 18 times. It's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I think if you look at who fights next, you have Zahn. Who did she just fight? Did she just knock out Jessica Andrade? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think realistically, they're about to do that card in like Saigon or Korea or something, aren't they?
Saigon. It's in Singapore. It's very similar.
I'm just
we really are we're two geographical idiots as well.
It's somewhere in Asia. Anyways, that would have been a good fight to throw on there, but I mean, you don't want to do a title fight on a fight night, I guess. I'm just looking at the 115 rankings of who she could actually fight next. I don't know. A lot of these people are,
Didn't you send me?
Beats Carla Esparza. Rose is no longer there, but she's still ranked. She just beat Amanda Lemos. Jan's the only one that's number 3 there, but I don't know. I think she might be next. We'll see, but it's only on a 2-fight win streak.
Didn't you say something though? Didn't you just send me something today that Andrade has another fight?
Yeah, she's fighting Mackenzie Dern in November.
Why? Okay, I'm just saying this has no relevance except that obviously, like, she keeps getting knocked out or destroyed. Like, why is she still fighting? Is anyone checking on her? Is she okay? Like, I feel like she needs to take a break and like recoup and figure this out.
I would think so too, but that could be just maybe she doesn't have the right people in her ear, or maybe she's not listening to the people saying, "Listen, you need to take a step back right now."
But figure it out.
I
don't know.
She should take a little time off and really just figure it out, because how many has she lost in a row now?
It's at least 3, right?
3. She lost to Blanchfield, which she thought was a fluke. And listen to this, okay? So she's fought every 3 months. I mean, she's staying active. It's 3 months, but you've been finished in the second.
You don't want to be active when you're getting killed. It takes some time to figure out.
It's one thing if you're losing by decision or something in a close split decision, and then you come back and you haven't taken much damage, but she's getting finished. The last 3 times out, getting finished. Let's see who Suarez has next. That could be, she's 10-0. That could be an option too. Tatiana Suarez.
That's the only option, I think.
No, I think you could do Jan too. I can't pronounce her full name. It's pretty tough.
I think we bring Larissa Pacheco in. That might be a good fight.
Okay, she's 155, I think. So.
Well, that's fine. Bring her down.
I don't think she could make the weight.
Catch weight.
Okay. Moving up. You fell asleep during this match, I heard.
What do you mean you heard? I told you. You act like you got some investigative reporter.
The webcam was turned on. I saw everything.
I mean, I did rewatch, and like I was awoken to multiple calls and text messages, mostly from you. I didn't want to miss it. I just, these things go so damn late.
You know what was going through my head?
What?
When you didn't answer the phone, I thought you had won the DraftKings match, and you were not answering the phone because you were waiting for it to be finalized, because you just needed to see that it was being finalized. You needed to make sure you were getting the money, and you were not going to answer the phone. No. But you had fallen asleep.
You know what killed me? I was dead after, let's see, I think I was dead with Munoz. When Munoz didn't win, that was when I was dead. I should have targeted a few things better. But, I mean,
I had nothing.
My favorite part, by the way, of the Sterling O'Malley is that first round they gave to Sterling.
Yeah.
Did you feel that way? Did you feel that?
Absolutely. It wasn't even – O'Malley didn't do anything.
Right, but he had more significant strikes, didn't he?
Listen, no, he didn't, because at the end of that round, Sterling got him up against the fence and landed some shots for maybe 35 seconds. He won that round, okay? But that round was boring. And as I was watching that, I was thinking, we're going to get one of those fights, one of those Thug Rose, Carla Esparza fights where they're afraid to hit each other and they're dancing around. And I was like, this is going to be awful. And even I was struggling to stay awake. And then in the second round, Sterling got a little aggressive. He went in for that, and he just overreached, and oh my God, it was just there. It almost looked like O'Malley was just surprised it was even there for a second.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
oh, you're gonna give me that? Boom, you're down. So,
Which is crazy. It's crazy though because like everything we saw, many people were pointing out how he dips his head when he goes in. He absolutely did the same thing. He totally took advantage of it and he knocked him out. I mean, what's crazy about it, I think, is that Sterling was trying to argue that it shouldn't have been stopped. How long are they supposed to hit him directly in the face while he's on the ground and he can't defend himself? I mean, he like I'm not an O'Malley guy,
yeah.
but when you watch that reaction, like I knew O'Malley was a star and they really wanted to talk about it. That reaction of that crowd, it's like, ooh, this guy is on another level of fandom.
He
I
is.
mean, it's superstardom.
No, he is. But okay, great job by O'Malley. He called out Cheeto. I think O'Malley wins
That's
that
stupid,
fight.
by the way.
I agree, but they want that fight.
Well, I rewatched that fight and I didn't realize their first fight. I never realized that he hurt his ankle on it, and and then he had to go down.
He didn't hurt his ankle. What happened was Cheeto kicked him in the nerve. It was a perfectly placed kick, probably like a complete accident. There's no way he was like aiming there, but it shut down his leg, and that was that. But I don't think the rematch goes that way. Look at Cheeto; he's so like cautious and stuff. But the other thing is like that's going to be a stand-up fight. There's no question that's going to be a stand-up fight.
That's true. It'll be like a Rob Font kind of fight with him.
Yeah. But I think Rob Font's a good striker, but I'll take O'Malley in an early rematch prediction. What about you?
No, absolutely, no doubt about it. I also think I saw that that Cejudo's trying to aim for a fight too with him. I think Cejudo would get destroyed by him, and I also think that Sterling, if he would have been smarter, he probably wins that fight and dominates it. He just got so aggressive he couldn't take it. But I don't think he would win in a rematch. I think he tried to do the same thing.
I don't think he dominates, or if he plays it right, I think he squeaks out a victory by playing it safe. If he would have done the same thing every round, get him up against the fence. Why are you striking with him?
But if you win every round, that's domination.
I disagree. If you squeak out each round, it's not. You could win a 50. Okay. Well, I guess Carlos Barza Rose wasn't a 50-45, but if you barely win each round and it's boring and one guy has 5 significant strikes and one has 2, like you didn't dominate the fight.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I actually would more enjoy O'Malley rematching with Peter Yan than with Cheeto. I think that fight is probably like the Cheeto thing. It's long enough ago that people aren't really thinking about it. But Yan is fresh enough in people's minds that the man deserves another shot.
No, he does not deserve another shot. He's on a losing streak, isn't he? Yeah, he's lost 3 in a row.
That's because a man shot on him 49 times in a row.
I don't care, dude. How is he? Listen, you don't get a title shot off of losing 3 matches in a row, especially when you lost to the former champ, the current champ, and the guy who's the number 1 contender. You're not skipping any of those people.
Right, I agree, but let's remember this, okay? Marlon Cheeto Vera's 1-1 in his last 2 fights.
Yeah, but
I mean, he got dominated.
Listen, money,
and he squeaked out this fight. I don't know why do they keep saying money. We believe that Cheeto Vera is such a big draw.
I think that it's a bigger draw that you've got Sean O'Malley to a guy he just lost to, his only loss, right?
Yeah.
You know, you want that. That's what you want. He beat him. That's going to get people in there. Can he beat him again?
Did you hear, though, by the way, that O'Malley says that he's 17-0?
Yeah.
Did you hear him say that in the press conference?
He's been saying that the whole time.
Whatever. I don't know. He did have a great line, though, when they said how they, did you know they scored round 1? And he said, well, how'd they score round 2? That's perfect. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff, though, that makes you a superstar.
Yeah, that's a great line.
All I will say is that the UFC, like we said in our video last week, they want this man to be champ. They got what they wanted. You've seen some of these things now that are saying 1 down, 2 more to go with Strickland coming up next. Like, I think this guy is an absolute superstar. He's what they needed. And frankly, it'll bring it into even more relevance than it already has.
Yeah, Strickland next, and then who else?
Who was the other one? I forget now.
Colby. They want
Oh,
Colby
no.
to win too. They do. I'm saying from
Yeah,
a money
they
standpoint,
may.
but I don't think the UFC wants Sean Strickland.
Why not?
He's
He'll appeal to a certain aspect of the community.
he listen, I think he's hilarious, okay? Like you have to understand the man's making
He's
jokes.
exhausting. He's
He's
exhausting.
hilarious, okay? But the problem is it's bad for Disney. You know, they don't want that person as champ. That's it.
It's okay. I saw a rumor yesterday that Apple's buying ESPN, so it'll all be over anyways.
Oh, okay. So just to talk about next week real quick, we've got Max Holloway, Korean Zombie. I think this is a horrible matchup. What do you have you looked into this at all yet?
Not a ton, but I did. I'm mostly looking forward to. I'm trying to see if it's this card or not. No, it is this card. I'm mostly looking forward to the fact that I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch this thing. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to, but what are we doing here? What are we doing? I'm actually mostly excited to see Aaron Blanchfield fight in this card because I think Holloway. It's going to be the same thing. Holloway dominates this.
Oh yeah, it's not even going to be close. There's a lot of there's actually some good matches here, and then there's some guys that I don't know too much about, so I'm going to have to watch a little bit of tape. But or you know what? Maybe this week I won't watch any tape, and I'll just make predictions.
Frankly, considering your picks, you probably should.
Yeah.
What I would, hey, I do want to say this though, because we're getting ahead of ourselves. This is a big fight week. Okay, we got Dana White Contender Series tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the PFL playoffs. I'm real excited. I hope to see more than 6 fights for the PFL this week, and maybe they can progress faster than one fight every 18 to 37 minutes.
One thing to remember is that PFL is actually on Wednesday, not on Friday.
That's what I just said.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's on
That's
Wednesday.
That's what I just said.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, I said we got Tuesday and then Wednesday. Stick with me.
And we'll be coming to you live from Saigon, and we'll
stop saying Saigon. Stop saying Saigon. First off, I'm so excited that we're at least, we're in Singapore Indoor Stadium. You idiot. What I'm mostly excited about is at least it's not in the Apex. I can't take another fight in the Apex. Why are we in the Apex?
I don't know, man. It's easy for them, and they don't have to work too hard, I guess.
Hey, you know what? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you do need to know this, okay?
Yeah.
We've got this week in Singapore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then next week we got Paris.
What time's that?
And Paris, it's an 11 a.m. start.
Okay, I like that.
I know they love the later starts, but I got to tell you, when there's a 9 a.m. card or an 11 a.m. card, it really helps my marriage, I mean, I'm not on the couch for 12 hours.
Yeah, the older you get, the better those early start times are. Because I remember, when I was younger, if it's like, oh man, 11 o'clock, I'm not even up, back in college days. But now it's like, they're going till 2 a.m. We can't stay awake anymore.
It's too much. There's no need for it. I really do think, I saw your buddy Ariel Helwani talking about that these fights should end around 11 to midnight. And I don't know, how do you argue with that? They should be.
Yeah.
I don't know why they go so darn late. Yeah. It has to be their window of when they could be on. But either way.
Yeah, it is, but it needs to be revisited. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we're 5 episodes in, they're going to start listening to us talk about it.
You also have to remember, I'm East Coast. You're Central. So they also have to.
And I'm still tired.
I know, but you got to also look at the West Coast. They don't want it.
Who cares about the West Coast? They'll get up for anything. You got 9 a.m. football. What does it matter?
Yeah, we have to deal with snow. They have to deal with earthquakes and all sorts of stuff though. So I don't
know. And hurricanes.
Yeah.
I don't know either, but I am looking forward to it this week. I'm so excited. There's multiple fights. I really am. I do wish that there was more to this fight, but whatever. I mean, hey. I didn't even realize this. We've got one heck of a month of September coming up. If you look, I mean, I know you got Adesanya versus Strickland, but we've also got Grasso versus Shevchenko too. We got some good fights coming up. Fiziev versus Gamrot. We got some fights.
Well, I think that this next pay-per-view is absolutely awful. It's really bad. Like
why? Because of Kai Kara France?
They just lost Kai Kara France. I thought there was only 3 good fights on that pay-per-view
to
begin with. Now we're down to 2.
But Didn't you hear though who they replaced him with? Blackshear. He's ready to go again.
All right.
It's
On
Black.
that on
Black
that note,
Blackshear and Jessica Andrade are coming in.
yeah. On that note, we're on Twitter now. Give us a follow. We'll start posting
Please
on there.
subscribe to our podcast.
Yeah, hey,
our
maybe
future depends on it.
hit a thumbs up. You know, I think we almost hit 50 views last week. So 50 is our goal. We're gonna work our
We're
way
getting
up
there.
from there, and you know, we're already ready to quit our jobs and do this instead. So.
No, I'm not. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
you're
I'm
not.
not. But
I am.
still.
I am.
Oh, you are. Okay. This is a positive thing to say.
So
I do like your little figurines in the background. They seem to make sense.
I made them myself. Thank you.
Well, I thought for the Saigon card you'd be excited about it.
Well, you'd think I know it was in Singapore if I have the Asian stuff there. But all right, we'll see you in a few days. We're gonna be doing our prediction video. Probably have that up Wednesday night.
Well, I think we also need to recap our Dana White Contender Series.
All right, we'll do a quick one for Dana White's Contender Series.
What do you got to do? You got nothing to do.
I got things to do. I'm painting the garage.
Yeah, you epoxied the floor.
No, I didn't do it yet. I had to cement over a bunch of stuff. It's turned into a whole thing.
Oh, well, I mean, to be fair, I couldn't figure out how to put a boat in reverse this weekend. So.
And you dropped your phone in the water.
Yeah, I did. It was an entertaining weekend, to say the least.
All right. Well, I've been hovering over this stop recording button for a while now, so we'll see you in a few days, and we'll get you a reaction video to Dana White's. Dan,
Sounds good.
See ya.